Tampa Stadium, where today the Tampa Bay Buccaneers come in with a 5-9-1 record, playing host to the Chicago Bears, who have a 6-9 slate. Hi, everybody. I'm Gary Bender, along with John Madden. And John, at the start of the year, everyone figured that this game would be for the NFC Central Division title. In fact, they're fighting for third place. Their hopes went up in smoke. What happened?
That's usually what happens. When no one ever stays the same. They either get better and they move up, or they go down. And that's what's happened to both teams here today. I think the Chicago Bears really had an effect in that first game when they had the field goal block. Chester Markle scored a touchdown. I don't think they recovered from that until the season was halfway over.
My honest opinion is, I would like to win it again, not only for myself, but for the other guys that are on the front line that are really in the trenches and doing most of the hard work, because we didn't make it to the playoffs, but this is one feather that we could put in our cap, and we could all say that we made it there.
The Chicago Bears will be without two of their fine defensive players, Gary Finsick along with Jerry Muckensturm. They did not make the trip. Finsick, of course, elected to the Pro Bowl. He's out with a shoulder operation. And on the other hand, Muckensturm is the man who had a knee injury. Here's a kickoff, and this is Gary Davis. Davis up to the 15 for Tampa Bay, to the 20, to the 25-yard line. Davis averaging just over 21 yards a return. Al Harris from Arizona State over to make the stop. Let's set now offensively this Tampa Bay team. Tampa Bay, a very young club. Williams in his third year. Ricky Bell, who had one 100-yard day. And boy, has Jones come on this year at wide receiver.
Right, and the third wide receiver that will alternate calling the plays is Kevin House.
And up front, Ray Snell was voted to the UPI All-Rookie Team this week from the 25. Tampa Bay with their first game of play from the line of scrimmage. Doug Williams at 6'4". Williams on the play action, wanting to throw on first down. Isaac Higgins. Higgins to the 50-yard line. Higgins with his 20th catch of the year. And, John, if that's indicative of what we're going to see, this could be a wide-open football game. That was a 26-yard pass completion.
I think it probably is. You know, the Chicago Bears last night were feeling that Tampa Bay would come out and try and establish a running game, but I think the Buccaneers have a different idea. You know, they want to throw that ball in the air and not let this Bear defense dictate to them what they're going to do.
Williams this year over 3,000 yards passing, 19 touchdowns, only 14 interceptions. From the 49 of Chicago, first down. This is Ricky Bell. Bell, the leading rusher, 565 yards. Alan Page, 35 years old, continuing to just do an excellent job. And let's look at the Chicago Bear defense. Hampton made the Pro Bowl.
Right, and probably the most underrated player in there is the right end, Mike Hartenstein.
And Page, as we mentioned, just continues to get better. Otis Wilson, his first start. Now, he's the rookie, #1 draft pick from Louisville. There's the secondary. Walderscheid going in place of the injured Gary Finsick.
Finsick was the leading tackler of this Chicago Bear defense.
Second down, 7 from the 46-yard line, wide open for Ricky Bell. And Bell all the way inside the 35 to the 33. Lenny Walderscheid over to make the stop, and Bell is impressive here in the early going.
He sure is. He was saying yesterday that he would like to gain 100 yards today, and of course on his first carry, that's a pretty good start. I think opening up with a pass, Gary, will tend to do this.
We've seen that a lot this year. Teams coming out on first down and throwing. Bell's best effort of this year was 130 yards against the New York Giants. First down from the 33. Gordon Jones, along with Kevin House, the wide receivers. Play action fake by Williams. This is the catch by Jones to the 10, to the 5, touchdown. Gordon Jones with his 46th catch of the year. And Tampa Bay wastes no time on their initial series.
And there's a happy Doug Williams. He threw this one. You know, this is what we've talked about all year. This is a double coverage. It's a double zone. The corner rotates up and bumps Gordon Jones. The safety comes over. You can still throw into that and throw against it. You see, Gordon Jones really beat two defenders on that play.
Jones has really been quite a reclamation project. He had only 4 catches last year. The point after 10 by 37-year-old Garo Yepremian. And the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have a 7-0 lead. That was a 75-yard drive. It took only 4 plays as Doug Williams throwing his 20th touchdown pass of 1980. Well, you can see how quickly Tampa Bay was able to strike. 143. John McKay told us that Doug Williams, he thinks, is going to be a future star in the National Football League, and he looked good on that drive.
He sure did, and that was his 20th touchdown pass of the season.
Garo Yepremian kicking off. It's going to be very short. And out it comes to the 32-yard line. Dave Williams, you remember him. He's the man that returned the kickoff 95 yards in that overtime win against Detroit. Making the stop was Cecil Johnson. Let's set now offensively. The Chicago football team. There's Evans, his 10th start of the year.
Right, and the fellow that lines up behind him, Walter Payton, the Tampa Bay defense calls him Mr. Tough.
And up front this year, Neil Armstrong feels that Jackson Asori have played the very best that they played.
Right, his 2 guards.
Just across the 30 to the 31-yard line. Here is Evans. He took over for Mike Phipps. Had 4 interceptions last week. Walter Payton, and you saw the hit that was put on him. Excellent reaction by Mike Washington, the right cornerback. That might be indicative of what Payton has to face throughout the course of this afternoon. And there is a look at that defense. Leroy Selman again has been voted to the Pro Bowl.
Right, and Dave Stalls is starting in place of Bill Kohler at that left end position.
And linebackers, boy, they've got some dandies. Lewis also headed to the Pro Bowl. Watch Cotney and Brown, 2 fine safeties.
Mark Cotney, they call him Captain Crunch. Great name for a strong safety.
You like those names.
I love it.
Captain Crazy last week and Captain Crunch this week.
All kinds of captains.
Second down, 10 from the 31. Evans. Catch by Payton as he hit Richard Wood reacting to the football. And John, on the first 2 plays, Tampa Bay's intensity is there.
I know. Did you see Walter Payton? He pointed at himself, and I think that's what the Tampa Bay defense is doing. They're all pointing at Walter Payton. Wherever he goes, he draws a crowd.
Boy, did he get vaulted here. John, that's one thing that Coach McKay kept saying. We just haven't had that intensity on defense that they had a year ago.
That's what he felt. And again, you know, sometimes that happens. Last year they were number 1. They come to camp, they think they have it all together, and you lose that type of thing when you forget how you got there.
Third down and 5. Evans again. And again, it's Walter Payton, and Payton may have the first down as he falls forward. Mike Washington with the stop. It's very close. But now Payton, who this year has caught 42 passes, is getting very much involved in the passing game.
I tell you, he doesn't. I think that makes a running back a lot more valuable when he can do these types of things. When he not only can run, but he can block, which Walter Payton does, catch the ball coming out of the backfield. He's really a complete player.
And that was a first down to the 41-yard line. Payton starting his 79th straight game. That's just a remarkable string. What durability this young man has had in his 6th year out of Jackson State. Ricky Watts in motion. And Roland Harper. Harper, boy, they're glad to have him back after a long rehabilitation process on that knee. He brings the ball to the 44. David Logan and Richard Wood combine on the stop. They said one thing about Harper. They said you really didn't know how much you missed him until he was out of there.
That's the way it is. You know, you take a lot of those types of players for granted. The guy that picks up the tough yards for you, that does the blocking for the great back, and you really don't know how much you miss him until he's gone.
Second down, 7 from the 44. It's 7-0, Tampa Bay. Evans on the play action. He's in trouble. He gets rid of the football. Ricky Watts trying to come up with a completion, but that shows you the strength of number 8, because Evans had David Logan draped all over him and still got rid of the football.
That was the thing that impressed us last night when we were talking to Vince Evans. He's a big man. He looks like a guard. And watch him come out here. Now, they know that they have to get there, and then they have to tackle him once they get this. He has that little movement. He was trying to throw to the left downfield, moved over to his right, still got rid of the ball.
Boy, he is. He is really a strong man. Logan is, too. In fact, John McKay said he's so strong he can lift a building. 3 wide receivers now on a 3rd down and 7. Evans, too tall. Chris Haynes, 83, who had come in as one of those three wideouts. Couldn't come up with it, and that'll bring up a fourth down. Haynes hasn't played all that much this year. He has only 2 catches, and so the Bears will have to get rid of the football. As going back deep will be Danny Reese. Bob Parsons will be kicking. And Reese, as you look at Parsons coming in here, he is 7th in the NFC with that average. Reese is one of those guys, John, that just defies you. He does not want to make a fair catch. In fact, last year he had 70 returns and only 1 fair catch. And here he comes. Watch him. Reese, the 25 to the 30 to the 32. And you can see the aggressiveness of this guy who played his football at USC for John McKay. John Skabinski over to make the stop for the Chicago Bears. Tampa Bay, who had the football the last time and went 75 yards for 6 points, have it again. There's John McKay. I'll tell you, John, I really enjoyed visiting this week with John McKay. Very personable guy, watching his practices.
He's quite a guy. You know, I played for him in college about 25 years ago.
You're not that old.
Well, no, I'm not. We've been friends for a long time.
Here's Ricky Bell again. Bell has a first down, and Ricky Bell looks like he may be headed for a big afternoon. Tom Hicks, Lenny Walderscheid in on the combined tackle.
I'll tell you, when Ricky Bell can get into the line with his shoulder square, running upfield as he is right here, he's one of the best running backs in the National Football League. Where he has trouble is when he's going sideways, but when he gets turned up, he's really something, and he's doing it today.
That's an interesting point. You've made that about a lot of the great runners in this game. They're actually about a half yard short of the first down. It's second down, less than a yard to go as they mark the ball at the 41. And now Bell goes for that first down, and he has it. Bell is one of those guys that has a wide stance. As you watch him run sometimes, it's really doesn't carry the knees so high, but he really has the wide base and good balance. Well, you know, this telecast is presented by authority of the National Football League and is intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or other use of this telecast without the express written consent of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the National Football League is prohibited. First down. Doug Williams. This is Jerry Eckwood. Eckwood, the second-year man from Arkansas. He's the guy this year that's been so involved in the passing game with 45 catches, but he's kind of been in John McKay's doghouse. He's committed a lot of fumbles.
Well, that's the thing that puts a lot of players in a lot of coaches' doghouses.
You didn't exactly like that either.
That's right. You know, I had Clarence Davis, and for years, you know, we just loved him because he would never fumble.
Second down, 9 for Tampa Bay. 7-0 they lead. Just over 8 minutes to go in this first quarter. Eckwood again, and Eckwood to the 48-yard line. Eckwood last year had a 61-yard touchdown run against Chicago. He's shown flashes of brilliance.
Yeah, and he's had a number of 100-yard games. But, you know, as we watch this, the Chicago Bears had 9 men up on the line of scrimmage. You know, they'll do that, Gary. They'll get the 5 defensive linemen in there. They bring the safeties and linebackers up in. They had them all. Eckwood was able to break the first thing and get in for a 4 or 5 yard gain.
That's what concerns John McKay so much, is the different looks that they have, the different formation. In motion, Isaac Higgins. Third down and 5. Did he get it? No, he's out of bounds. Higgins thought he did. Isaac Higgins, Terry Schmidt defending on a play. There's Doug Williams surveying the situation.
You think Doug Williams thought he had it? He probably didn't see it. He was looking out his ear hole. But let's watch this again. I'll tell you, it's very close. And Higgins thought that he had it.
Boy, I don't know, John.
I do. He had both feet in. That looked good to me.
Fourth down. Well, you visited with the officials today, so you've already intimidated them again. They're worried about what you're thinking up here in the booth. I know it. It's happened before. Here's the kick. Lenny Walderscheid is back. He's going to let it roll, and that ball's going to the 5. Tom Blanchard, it didn't look like a very picturesque kick, but it was a very effective kick. He didn't get it very high at all, but he angled it effectively, and you see the end result. At the 5-yard line, Chicago has the football, and they trail by 7 points. Neil Armstrong. Armstrong. His team in a bad situation, the 5-yard line after that 47-yard kick. From Tishomingo, Oklahoma, his father, 85 years of age, watching this game today, and he plays golf 5 times a week. Shot his age at 73. First down from the 5. Evans to Payton. And Payton, again, having a lot of orange jerseys, in particular Cecil Johnson, who McKay says is the unsung hero. We talked to Walter Payton about, on just about being hit, how he reacts to the defenders.
One of the things that I really stride on is just before I get tackled, or when I see that there's no other way out, then I explode into the tackle, and more or less takes a little bit from me being on offense and him being on defense. It's more or less we both are on the defense.
Walter Payton on that last carry picked up about 1.5 yards. Evans. Ricky Watts. And Watts, the ball is loose, picked up, but wait a minute, it's going to be ruled down as Ricky Watts had it for a moment, could not hang on to it as he was really belted into the secondary. That was Norris Thomas who was over there to hit the second-year man from Tulsa.
We're going to see this again. It's a slant. You know, it's only a 3-step drop by Evans. He's going to throw about an 8 or 9 yard pass in there, and there's a lot of people in there when that ball goes in there, but it is incomplete. And it didn't bounce off his foot or his knee or his shoulder or anything.
No controversy.
No controversy, no flag, no hat, no beanbag.
Third down. Still virtually 9 yards to go. 3 wide receivers are in now for Chicago. Evans. Watts has this one. Ricky Watts comes right back and hangs on despite the fact Curtis Jordan was there with him. Showing a little courage on these plays and hanging on this time for a 16-yard completion.
I'll tell you one thing that was interesting is you saw the 3 wide receivers, Gary. The Tampa Bay defense didn't see it. They didn't have a man out on Watts when the ball was snapped. He was running over there, and he gets over a little late, as you see.
Ricky Watts, a man who started the year out with a bad ankle. As John McKay would call him, a flat tire.
He says, yeah, a flat tire.
First down from the 23-yard line. Evans really opening things up, but this is one of the things he does so well, and that's run. He's the 3rd leading rusher in the NFL as far as quarterbacks are concerned. He makes it to the 26. Mike Washington made the stop.
You know, one thing, watch his strength here, Gary. You know, as he starts here, it's a little play pass. He thinks by faking the ball to Walter Payton that will hold, keep the defense in, which it does. But there's no one open downfield. He had the time. There was no one open. But look how strong he is. These guys just bounce off him.
Well, he scored 6 touchdowns rushing, averaged 5.5 yards a carry. That time he picked up 3. Bring up 2nd down and 7. Matt Suey has now checked in at fullback. You see him, the lead back, number 26. Robin Earl, the tight end, in motion. Here's Payton. And here is Tampa Bay's defense. I would assume right now, John, that everywhere 34 goes, that defense is looking for it.
We're going to see a good matchup here. Watch up in the top of your screen. That's tackle Ted Albrecht, number 64, and Leroy Selman. Watch how active he is. You know, you think he's out of the play. Albrecht was sure that he went outside. But when you get a talent like Leroy Selman, you have to stay with him all the time, no matter where the ball goes.
That brings up a 3rd down 6. Selman is 6'3", 250, has 8 sacks this year. As we mentioned, he has been voted to the Pro Bowl squad. 3 wide receivers again for Chicago. Evans, nobody open. And again, he gets rid of it, and it's caught by Matt Suey. That will be short of the first down, but again, the strength of this man, able to avert a long loss on the play.
Again, the Tampa Bay defense was in 5 defensive backs, and they really did a good job of coverage. As we see Evans here, you see he was looking, he was trying to hit his receiver in the slot, couldn't find him, started out to run, was able to get the ball out to Suey, but it's short, and they're going to have to punt. That's a great name, Matt Suey, running back.
Sounds like he ought to be playing at Arkansas,
Penn State.
though.
Oh, yeah. So, hey,
Bob Parsons to kick. Danny Reese is back. There he goes, and he is hit immediately. Excellent reaction that time by Jonathan Hoke. Hoke is a man they added later this year due to a lot of injuries. He was a former Kansas City Chief, played his collegiate football at Ball State. We come back. Tampa ball has the football. Gary Bender with John Madden. John, we want to wish everyone a happy holiday as we approach the season. And all the crew here, our director Bob Fishman and David Fox, and tell you, they're all in a holiday festive spirit, aren't they?
They're all happy to be here.
From the 30-yard line, first down. Williams a little out of time, and he's using it. This is Kevin House. What a catch. Kevin House, the rookie who has just been outstanding the last 6 games, and it's a first down to the 13-yard line of Chicago.
I'll tell you, I love to see this, and when Doug Williams decides that he's going to throw the ball deep, there's no one that can throw it deep better than he can. And he has to, we talked about that at the beginning. This Kevin House, he alternates, comes in every play, but he can run. And that's one thing that Tampa Bay felt that they had to improve this on, is to get some speed on the outside, and they have it. And this man, as you see on that play, he just outran the coverage.
57 yards. McKay feels that he has some of the same attributes that a Paul Warfield had. Ricky Bell. Bell trying to make it to the 10-yard line. He's going to be just short of it. Otis Wilson, as we mentioned, with his first start over there. Wilson, I'm sure right now, probably feels that there's a lot of football he hasn't learned yet, because that Chicago Bear defense is complicated.
You see the sideline there? Irv Cross was just about in on the tackle. He didn't bend his knees like a good defensive back. That 57-yard pass was the longest pass play of the year for the Bucs.
Well, Irv Cross will be on at halftime if he doesn't get hurt over there.
Yeah, he has to protect his legs.
There's the stats on Doug Williams. Second down now, 8. The ball just short of the 10-yard line. Ricky Bell again, and Bell with Otis Wilson again on top of him. And Wilson is playing very well in this early going in place of Jerry Muckenstern. Muckenstern, the number 2 tackler out of Arkansas State. So we mentioned they lost also Gary Finsick. Finsick, they hope, will be ready in time for the Pro Bowl. And it's going to bring up a 3rd down, and still a good 6 yards to go. Bell now going to come out of the lineup.
Well, it looks like we're going to see some kind of formation here, Gary, with 4 receivers on the line of scrimmage. Looks like it's 2 tight ends, 2 wide receivers as we see it here. And I expect they'll go into the end zone.
Tony Davis, the only set running back. Williams on 3rd down. Intended for Gordon Jones. Allen Ellis defending on the play, and you can see Jones a little upset. But he's already caught 1 touchdown pass.
I'll tell you, what Doug Williams is thinking here. He's thinking, as I throw that long pass, it's complete, and I want to get it in the end zone, and we just don't right here.
Well, here comes the young man. I say young, 37 years of age, Garo Yepremian.
What college did he go to?
He said Ball State. 14-20. And he is attempting a 27-yarder, and he hit it. Gene Bart indicating that this guy who's really happy down here, and I'll tell you another guy that's happy, is John McKay. He likes this guy.
I know, and John has always had trouble with kickers, but he got Garo, and he says he's a great guy. The players love him, and John loves him.
So the field goal makes it a 10-0 game. In fact, it used to be that McKay wouldn't even watch his kickers warm up before a game.
No, he wouldn't come out until they were finished. He wouldn't even watch them in practice, and look what we have tomorrow.
We have some dandies. Now, that Houston game, they've got to win that one. Washington against St. Louis. That still goes back to last year. Remember that, the way it all finished?
Right. Can you figure out what has to happen between Atlanta and Los Angeles and Philadelphia and Dallas as to who plays where and why and when?
Well, we could spend 10 or 15 minutes on it maybe. But it's going to be an excellent doubleheader of activity as we'll come to the final Sunday of this regular season of play. Garo Yepremian will be kicking off. Dave Williams, the deep man, inside the 5. And Williams will take this one from the 11-yard line. Dave Williams out to the 30, 35-yard line. And you can see that one starting to open up for him. Andy Hawkins over, the rookie from Texas A&I, to make the stop for Tampa Bay. And Chicago, who hasn't had the field position of this game, down 10-0. Say one thing about Chicago, though, John. Even though they haven't had the field position, they haven't been conservative.
No, I think both of these quarterbacks today are really going to do, open up. You know, they know they have running and they have backs, but they still have to throw the ball. I think that's the way you're able to run, is by throwing the ball, not running to establish.
From the 35, first down. Evans, lots of time. Intercepted. Mark Cotney with his third interception of the year. James Scott, the intended receiver, and Cotney did an excellent job on this play.
You know, this is the way a lot of quarterbacks will throw interceptions. Now watch Vince Evans as he comes back here. He's going to roll out. He's looking to the one side. See, now look, he's looking out here to the left. Then he comes back, he pumps, and then brings it back and throws again. See, he was trying to throw to Robin Earl inside, decided he wanted to get it outside. It was a second thought that he would like to have back.
Sometimes those guys with the strong arms just try to force the football, don't they?
Well, it's a lot of confidence.
From the 37-yard line, first down. Higgins in motion. Flag on the play. Over the middle, Jerry Eckwood. Now we had a flag. The ball, I believe, is going to be ruled caught because Eckwood then started up the field and lost it. But, as we said, there is a penalty flag back at the 40-yard line.
Right, and it'll be against Tampa Bay for illegal motion. You know, one thing that the Buccaneers are trying to do is they're trying to change the count because they feel that Alan Page and that defensive line is so quick, they want to go on a longer count, and that time they jumped off sides.
You know, we talked earlier about Ricky Bell and how he likes to turn his shoulders up the field.
Number 84, illegal motion offense. Still first down.
Well, we asked Bell about that style of running.
If you can get your leverage, your shoulders upfield, then you have the body weight to push yourself forward a lot of times, and I can squirm for 4 or 5 yards without very much blocking.
And he's done some squirming, doing an excellent job this year. It's going to bring up first down, 15 after the penalty. From the 42, Kevin House in motion. Looked like somebody was offside, maybe not. Doug Williams batted down. Dan Hampton looked like he left before the ball was snapped.
Well, I'm sure that, as we're going to see a flag, I'm sure that that's what Charlie Hanna thought at the same time as we'll see him up there. I think he left right as the ball was snapped, because that was what John McKay was telling us earlier. He's saying that they get off when the ball is snapped better than anyone. He said they get off before your guy gets off.
He was telling us also they might try that squeeze the ball trip, trying to keep Page from leaving.
Did you see the end of that play where Mark Hartenstein jumped up and blocked that? What an athlete he is.
Well, we talked about how physical they are. There was a good example of it. Second down now, 22 yards to go. Williams, and this was picked out. This is Otis Wilson, and Wilson fumbles. Walderscheid tries to get on it. Who has it? Otis Wilson showing the quickness. That's the reason he's their #1 draft pick. Then the ball separated. Coming out of there with it now, 59, that's Gary Campbell. And so Chicago has it on the interception.
We're going to see this again. Of course, this is Otis Wilson's really his first start as a linebacker, but he's been used a lot, Gary, because they would put him in passing situations. So he's used to this. Did you see him get up in the air, catch the ball at the highest point?
He's a good athlete. That's his second interception of the year.
Right, he was trying to switch the ball there. He got hit, fumbled. Look at that pop. That ball does draw a crowd, doesn't it?
He thought he was a running back switching that ball around. From the 36, first down. 35 seconds to go in this first quarter. 10-0, Tampa Bay. Evans for Scott. Jordan is down there. Curtis Jordan with inside coverage on Scott. And Evans that time, again, showing the strength of his arm. Let's look at some of the play in the trenches.
Watch this. Again, we see Albrecht and Selman in there, and watch how he gets the moves. He gets the end, then the guard gets him, and then the tackle gets him again. That's what he was talking about the other day. He said, I've never played in a 4-man line, but he said, you know, in that 3-man line, he said, every time I beat a tackle, there's a guard waiting right there for me. And we just saw it.
And you saw how he can rush. Boy, he's quick, isn't he? Second down, 10 for the 36. Evans. Off to Walter Payton. 40, 45, has the first down. Payton just short of the 50-yard line. And so Chicago getting the field position for the first time after an 18-yard play.
Let's watch this again. And this is a play that John McKay was saying the other day that scares the death out of him. He said his heart stops when he sees Walter Payton get the ball on a screen pass because he's already out in the open. He's already turned up the field. And we'll watch it from here again. See, it's off a straight back pass. They get everyone going downfield. He just runs out there. The offensive linemen get out in front of him. We see Sorey out there, Neal out there. They get the block, but he's out in the open with the ball.
Norris Thomas was shaken up on that last play. He's coming off. There he is. Thomas, the man they picked up from Miami along with Gary Davis. John McKay feels that Thomas will be a big factor in their team in the years ahead.
He's one of the few.
We have come to the end of our first quarter of play. Tampa Bay off moving very well with a 10-0 lead.
The NFL on CBS. Today's game is sponsored by
Beautiful day here in the Tampa Bay area. 68 degrees at kickoff time as we start the second quarter. 10-0. Tampa Bay with the lead. Chicago with the first down at their own 49-yard line. Evans to Payton. And the opening's there, and he takes advantage of it. Boy, you don't have to give him very much. And Cedric Brown makes the stop. Pickup of 6-7 yards on the play.
The opening really wasn't there the first time or the second time as we watch it again. It's an I formation play. Starts to the left, a weak side. Look, there's nothing there. I'll go back, try it here. Boom, there's a bunch of guys there. I'll go over one more hole and finish it off.
And when you see him run like that, you wonder how he could start in 79 straight games.
Yep, because, you know, every defensive player is keying on Walter Payton.
Second down now, 4. Payton again. Payton with a first down to the 35-yard line. Cedric Brown, Curtis Jordan, and now Payton starting to get a little running room, and that's got to concern John McKay.
It was a thing that would always concern me, being a running back, being a great running back like he is, and know that everyone is keying on you, and you still take that ball. And look at all those orange shirts come around to finish him off.
From the 35, Chicago with the first down. Evans to Watts, and Watts picks up 5 yards. Cecil Johnson, Ricky Watts, and James Scott, the two fine wide receivers, have just been slowed all year long for Chicago with the injuries. Watts, as we mentioned, had the ankle problem, but Scott was slowed with a hamstring.
Vince Evans had the perfect play on there. It was a strong safety blitz. Mark Cotney was up. He came from the outside, and he hit the slant right in behind him.
Second down, 5 from the 30-yard line. Evans to Roland Harper, and Harper is very close to the first down as he makes it to the 25-yard line. Let's take a ground level shot at Harper, a very good friend of Walter Payton's.
And we'll see this again. Watch the left side. See it's a guard pull. Noah Jackson pulls out there. Walter Payton leads. And then again, they get right close to a first down.
Roland Harper with a 1-yard touchdown run last week. He returned in the 5th game of this season after sustaining that knee injury that kept him out all of 1979. They're just short. Third down and less than a yard to go. And Evans trying to sneak it. Chicago does that very effectively, and one reason is Evans, who's 6'2", 212. Looks like he has the needed distance inside the 25-yard line.
How do you think they're going to spot this ball?
A left or a right footer?
That's what Evans is saying right now. Where are you going to spot that ball? As we see David Logan down there, number 76 for Tampa. He was looking and wondering the same thing.
Looks like they're going to have to measure. Say that David Logan's done a good job replacing Randy Crowder, who went out in the second game of the year. with a knee injury, and they have the first down.
John McKay was saying that Dave Logan can lift the building. That's not a bad deal. Then he doesn't have to go inside and get any weights, huh?
He had a touchdown last week of 60 yards on a fumble recovery.
I like that. Guys that can lift buildings. Those are, great. Nose tackles lift buildings. That's good stuff.
Do you like his number?
Yeah, he has a good number. 76.
Quick pitch to Peyton. Peyton runs into Dennis Lick, but stays on his feet. Dennis Lick actually was holding up Peyton's movement on the far side as he's just short of the 20-yard line. Cotney over to make the stop for Tampa Bay.
That's what the great running backs do. We see here it's a quick toss. Evans brings the ball back, tosses it out to Walter Payton. Dennis Lick was leading out there. He really couldn't get the block before Payton got there, so Payton waited a second and then right around him.
See a lot of orange jerseys over there. Last year, the #1 ranked defense. Tampa Bay this year, they have dropped off tonight. Second down, 6. Peyton, jammed up in a hurry. No place to go on that. So we mentioned Tampa Bay had the #1 ranked defense last year. They've dropped off this year, and John McKay talked about that defense of a year ago.
Well, last year we were #1 defense in football. This year we are long from that. Practically the same players not playing as well.
They talk a lot, John, about their intensity. Sometimes you forget what's made you successful.
One of the problems that they've had is they've gotten leads this year, and they say that they really haven't been able to deliver the knockout punch.
That's right. 7 times they've led and eventually lost. Third down, 5. That's Robin Earl in motion. Evans to Earl, and Earl has a 1st and goal as he's inside the 10-yard line. David Lewis making the tackle. Earl with his 18th catch of this year.
Look, he has the gloves and the whole thing on out there. What they did is they had James Scott out there running a post in the end zone. It looked like Evans was looking to him. Then he came back off to Earl, who they really didn't cover.
Robin Earl was a running back prior to this year. He made the conversion to tight end and is a very fine blocker. 1st and goal. Just inside the 10-yard line. The Bears trailing 10-0. Peyton to the 5, Peyton to the 1. Tried to reach the football across, but they're not going to give that one to him.
He wanted the touchdown, and they don't allow that, Walter. But I'll tell you one thing. He was talking, about how right at the end, when he knows he's going to get tackled, that he really tries to lower his shoulder and take it to the defense. Now watch him do it right there at the end to Mark Cotney. We saw what he was talking about.
Boy, I like that reach across. He really had a quick arm across the goal line.
You like that? It doesn't count. You have to like stuff that counts.
Second down, less than a yard. Looks like the Bears have moved. Peyton taking it in. Movement, flags everywhere. Boy, that drives the coach crazy.
I'll tell you, it does. And you know what happens? They get down on the goal line. They have to get lower. They want to get off with the snap of the ball, and they're just all cocked and ready to go, and you see that an awful lot.
Let's listen to Gene Bart.
Number 8, illegal motion.
Well, he said that was on Vince Evans. Looks like there's somebody else moving too. But anyway, it's 5 yards back outside the 5-yard line. Second down coming up as changes coming in. Matt Suey comes in. Roland Harper will check out.
I wonder if they call that head bobbing on Vince Evans. They can't bob their head to draw the defense offside.
Second and goal. Peyton in motion. Evans is going to try to take it in, and he does. Vince Evans on a run-pass option followed Noah Jackson, all 265 pounds of him, and the Chicago Bears are on the scoreboard.
That's not a bad escort. Now watch the left guard. Watch number 65, Noah Jackson there. He pulls out. He gets in front of Evans. Right now, he decides it's going to be run. Let me go and get one. Did you see the block that he put there on Richard Wood?
He's such an enthusiastic guy. That's the thing you like about Jackson. He reacts to everything out there.
He says that's the only way to play the game, and I agree.
Bob Thomas, point after attempt. By Schlegel to hold. And the Bears now have climbed within 3, 10-7 at the 10-14 mark of the second quarter of play. An impressive drive. Payton and Evans combining. That was a 64-yard drive by Chicago in 12 plays. Took almost 5.5 minutes. Bob Thomas to kick off. Gary Davis back deep. Davis, earlier this year, returned a kickoff 54 yards against Chicago. Here he goes. To the 20. Look out. Davis 35-40 to the 45-yard line, and he was tripped up. He was tripped up. Stefanski eventually made the tackle, but the guy that tripped him up was Jonathan Hoke that slowed him up.
Right, he's from Cal Poly, San Luis Obispo.
That's where you went.
Yeah, that's right. He starts up. I never ran like that, though, but he starts up into the middle, draws the Bear coverage inside, and then he hits a hole outside, and he just stumbled there. I don't think he would have gone all the way, but I could see where he could have gotten 5 or 10 more yards.
He has really given the Bears fits.
Right,
earlier, a 54-yarder. This is a 37-yarder.
He's a happy Mustang.
Is that what your nickname was? From the 45. Ricky Bell for 2 yards. A flag has been thrown. You and Bobby Beathard went to Cal Poly. It's SLO or St. Louis Obispo, and you were both PE majors, petroleum engineers.
Petroleum engineers. Some people thought that meant PE. Look at the scoring drive here. 12 plays, 64 yards, and as you said, 5 minutes and 21 seconds. But Bobby Beathard was the one that originally drafted Gary Davis when Bobby was a director of player personnel of the Miami Dolphins.
72, illegal use of the hands.
Looks like Gene's had a little trouble with the voice there.
He's rough, huh?
That was Ray Snell.
They shouldn't talk like that. You know, no one's complaining to him yet. You know, they save that voice for when they're mad at you.
Arth from St. Louis, very personable guy. First down 20 after that penalty. Almost jumping offside was Page. Here's Ricky Bell, and Bell hit by Gary Campbell at the 39-yard line.
And I think Page did jump off sides. There's a flag on the play.
We mentioned Alan Page, and we asked him if there was any particular lineman that ever gives him problems.
I've never really paid much attention or really had many problems with opposing linemen. I've never tried to adjust what I do to what the opposing linemen do. I've always been intent on trying to do my job, and therefore, after a while, they all start to look alike.
I think he dictates to everyone what he wants to do. The penalty was offside against Chicago. 1st and 15. Williams. Jimmy Giles, the intended receiver. Defending on the play, Tom Hicks. Let's go back and look at Page, how he jumped offside.
We'll see it, and this was what the Buccaneers were trying to do. It looks like there's a little movement there by the quarterback, Doug Williams, but they've been working all week on trying to keep Alan Page where he doesn't get off right when the ball is snapped. In fact, the last game, Alan Page got the game ball in his play against the Buccaneers.
He had a field day. At halftime, Jack Whitaker's legends of the game. And boy, you talk about an exciting football player, Gallopin' Gale Sayers. 2nd down now, 15. Bell picks up 3 yards, and that's all. So it's 3rd down, a long ways to go yet. We're going to mark the ball at the 43-yard line.
Doug Williams is thinking that's one that I wish we hadn't called in that situation. It was a safety blitz, and the safety blitzed right into the hole that Ricky Bell was trying to run a draw or delay play into. Now, that'll never work.
You know, yesterday, all day, Doug Williams seemed to be thinking, my gosh, how many different things am I going to have to learn for this football game? He had his hands over his face at the end of practice. Just because the Bears have so many different looks. Now look at him now jumping around. 3rd down and 12. Nice play. That is Otis Wilson again. And Wilson has just been from sideline to sideline in this football game.
That was the reason that they drafted Otis Wilson. You know, he has that great speed, the great instinct. He's been playing a lot this year, not as a linebacker, but in the passing situations. And today, he's starting and playing the entire game. Great athlete.
Giles having a tough time getting anything thrown to it. Waldershide's back. This kick by Tom Blanchard, who is second in the NFC in punting, and he hit this one very well. From the 7-yard line, Waldershide. And again, the Bears will not have good field position. Danny Reese was down there to make the tackle for Tampa Bay. A very fine kick that time by Blanchard. Chicago down by 3 points at the 8:43 mark of the second quarter. That last kick by Blanchard traveled 50 yards. And the Bears, after a 5-yard return, have the ball at their own 11-yard line. They trail 10-7. Evans to Roland Harper, and Harper gets a little operating room out to the 15-yard line. Bring up second down and still 6 yards to go. David Lewis with the tackle. Lewis, one of those 3 players from Tampa Bay to be on the Pro Bowl as you look at Evans. Neil Armstrong said that this man has one real thing going for him, is he has an even keel. He doesn't get up. He doesn't really get down. He just plays very, very calmly and with some confidence.
That's great. That's a type of personality that you want in your quarterback.
Second down, 4. Watts and Chris Haynes, the wide receivers. This is Payton, and Payton to the 20-yard line, and that appears to be a yard short of the first down. Leroy Selman over. So 2 Pro Bowlers colliding there. Selman did not play in the Pro Bowl last year because of an injury, but he's looking forward to it this year. They're going to be yard short, and it brings up third down. Going to bring in a tight end. What's coming in is Robert Fisher. See Robin Earl, also 81.
And they like Robert Fisher as a receiver also. Here he's in as a short yardage, but they put him in as a receiver also.
2 tight ends on a 3rd and 1. And Payton, look at that move by Payton. He has the first down, and just because of the quick feet, he was caught dead in the backfield and somehow avoided that tackle, and the Bears have a first down.
That's what Leroy Selman is saying. What do you have to do? The thing you always want to do on short yardage is you want to stay low, you want to penetrate, get into the backfield before they can get to the line of scrimmage. He did that, but he just couldn't get Walter Payton.
Payton having to work for that yardage as he'd like to nail down his 5th straight NFC rushing crown. Line of scrimmage, the 22.5. First down for the Bears. Robin Earl and Fisher both are in there on this play. Evans with time, nobody open. Chased by Logan. And broken up by Cotney. Payton, the intended receiver. Logan that time, the nose tackle, showed some pretty good speed. I can understand why he won 60 yards for a touchdown last week.
Well, you know, the original pass protection is good. The thing that causes this is the coverage downfield. You see, Vince Evans was looking. He looked to the right, to the left, couldn't find anything, and he had to run out of the pocket. He's still looking. He's still looking. He finally finds one there. Too late.
But again, averting a long loss. He's done that on 3 different occasions. Fisher now checks out. Fisher has great hands. Neil Armstrong feels he'll just get better and better. He needs to improve his blocking. Matt Suhey has checked into the backfield. 6.5 minutes to go until halftime. On a 2nd and 10. There's Payton again. Payton covered very well by Aaron Brown, a 3rd-year man out of Ohio State. One of the many fine linebackers that Tampa Bay has. And it's 3rd down and 10 as you look at the time.
That last pass was one that Walter Payton had wished that Vince Evans hadn't thrown, because he took a little mustard off of that one.
A little mustard.
And he left him right there in the middle.
You got to keep that mustard on.
Right. Neil Armstrong's the only one that understands those types of
Did you
terms.
notice that Neil and I, we talk kind of the same language. Midwesterners, they understand each other. 3 wide receivers now for Chicago. 3rd down 10. He has Haynes open. Chris Haynes. And that may have been a touchdown-saving tackle by Cotney, who caught him around the shoulder pads because Haynes was really on his way.
You know, that was 3 wide receivers. Haynes was in the slot right here, and he just outran the coverage. Watch, he has good pass protection. He's looking at Haynes all the way. He sees him in the middle. He just outruns the defense, catches the ball. The reason that Haynes is in there is because Brian Bashnagel has a bad back, and he won't be playing except for holding on extra points and field goals.
Well, that's only the 3rd catch of the year for Haynes, who you might remember won that Cotton Bowl game for Notre Dame. He beat Houston in the waning seconds of the Cotton Bowl. He's remembered most for that, for the fine football play. First down, here's Payton, and Payton to the 40, to the 39. And Selman again on the tackle. That's going to bring up a 2nd down and still 8, make it 7.5 yards to go. Payton's one of the players, John, I wonder, that as the game wears on, he gets more effective. Some of your great runners, they get a little tired, seem to let instinct take over.
They do. I know that, you know, that he's that way, and Earl Campbell has talked about that before, that once you get tired, then you're just playing on instinct. When you start the game, you're a little apprehensive, a little nervous. You get that out of the way, and you're a better running back.
2nd down, 7. Little delay to Payton, and Payton this time to the 37-yard line. Aaron Brown again on the tackle, along with Dewey Selman, the Selman brothers. Dewey Selman's an interesting guy. He's working on his Ph.D. in ancient philosophy. Do you have any of those players on your team in Oakland?
Ancient philosophy.
Did they have that at your school where you went?
That's how you understand a coach.
3rd down, 4 yards to go. There's Payton's statistics. Remember now, he led Billy Sims by 81 yards. Of course, he'll have to wait and see what happens tomorrow before he knows whether he's got the crown. Evans to the 35. He picked up a yard after all that, and that'll bring up 4th down. Aaron Brown with the tackle. Aaron Brown made about 3 or 4 tackles on this drive.
And that was a fine open field tackle by Aaron Brown, because everyone else had dropped off in the past. He was the only one there. It was one-on-one between he and Vince Evans, and he made a very important tackle.
So 4th down, 3. Danny Reese going back for this anticipated punt by Bob Parsons. Parsons is the guy who at one time on fake punts completed 6 straight. Former quarterback at Penn State. Moved to a tight end as his senior year. He's looking everything over from the 50-yard line.
I bet you Reese doesn't return this one.
Boy, look at those eyes, the concentration. He's going for the corner. And that ball is going to make it in for the touchback.
We have 2 flags.
One is at the 12-yard line area. And it looks like it's going to go against Chicago.
I would think that Tampa Bay will decline the penalty and be happy to get the ball on the 20-yard line.
You were visiting with the officials today as we were having breakfast. They walked into the room and you started throwing all these handkerchiefs on the floor.
Right. Well, yeah, I never had. That's one thing that I could never do. You know, I had to stand there and watch them throw them, and I never had a chance. It was the first opportunity I ever had today in the restaurant. They came in, so I picked
Illegal
up the
motion,
napkin.
offense, refused, 1st down.
Threw them down. It was the first time. I've always wanted to do that.
I think you intimidate them a little bit. They thought when you left the sideline, you know, that they wouldn't hear any more from you. But now you've moved up here a few hundred yards from the sideline. You're still making your presence felt. We have a timeout. We'll be back in just a moment. First down for Tampa Bay at the 20-yard line. Jerry Eckwood and Tony Davis, the running backs, behind Doug Williams. The Buccaneers with a 3-point lead. Here's Eckwood. Eckwood picks up 3 to the 23-yard line. We've been watching Otis Wilson on an isolation. Let's see what he did on this play.
Again, we'll watch him here in the normal situation. On the passing situations, he's over the tight end. Now, this is really the first time that he's had to play inside against the run. Of course, he has a lot of beef up in front that help him out.
Wilson's not small. He weighs 222, stands 6'2". 2nd down, 7. is Eckwood again, and Eckwood looks like he might be right on top of that area he has to have for the first down. Let's see, in fact, if he did get the first down. Protecting the ball. Did you notice how he had both hands on it? As we mentioned, he's been having a difficult time fumbling.
He does. Now, this was an audible that was called on the line of scrimmage. He'd seen something there. He'd seen a hole there on the left side. He changed the play on the line of scrimmage and ran the ball to Eckwood.
They did not get the first down. Third and a matter of inches as they bring in two tight ends. Jim Obradovich and Jimmy Giles. You see the time as we approach the 2-minute warning. Third down conversions. And trying to take it straight ahead is Doug Williams. Now flag is thrown. Something going on inside. The flag, after the play had concluded. Well, this is the black and blue division, the old NFC Central. And this is going to be 15 yards.
We'll have to wait to hear what that one was, Gary. That was one that I didn't say.
Personal foul, piling on, 46 defense, first down.
Well, that's against Doug Plank, and of course Plank comes in here amidst controversy anyway because of the hit he had on Jimmy Giles earlier.
We talked to him, and he feels that he's really being watched now.
The 2-minute warning is here. Well, a moment ago, Doug Plank at 15 yards assessed against him. We're going to try to pick up and see where, in fact, he was guilty.
Right, we see Williams there. Now we'll see Plank come into the picture. See, he's still not there. Now he's coming in right now. There's Plank right there. He looks like he tries to hold up unless they call him for something with that left knee.
Well, the ball just inside the 45. At halftime, we'll have Brent and Irv. Irv, of course, here with us in Tampa Bay. It's going to be dark before this football game's over, starting to cool off a little bit.
Well, the lights have been on since the start of the game.
2 minutes left in the first half. The Buccaneers with a 10-7 lead. Trying to set up the screen to Ricky Bell, make that Jerry Eckwood. And did you see Doug Plank flying over there? We mentioned Doug Plank and that Jimmy Giles incident. He was fined for a late hit. We talked to him about it.
I think that just after the Tampa Bay game that I went into a period of 2 or 3 weeks of being very apprehensive and tentative as far as my play was concerned. Then I went through a period of being reckless, trying to prove to myself that, in fact, I was as physical or more aggressive than I had ever been. And I think it's just been these last 2 or 3 weeks that I finally settled down into being the kind of football player that I want to, which is somewhere in between.
Doug Plank. Second down, 10. Eckwood to the 50-yard line. Otis Wilson, and we have another flag. Holding against Tampa Bay. Alan Page had an interesting theory about holding. He said there's a lot of it going on, he feels. He says it's not a severe enough penalty to keep him from doing it.
No, he said it's smart to hold. He said if you hold and you get caught, it's 10 yards. He said if you're and it's not a loss of down, you get to play the down over again. He said if you get a sack,
holding.
He said if you get a sack, well then you lose the down, you lose the yardage, and you could very well lose a quarterback.
Not to mention the fact you're kind of embarrassed by it all.
One of the few times offensive linemen get mentioned is when they hold.
Second down, 20. There's the time remaining. There's Page jumping around. He must have seen something. Here is Eckwood, and Eckwood to the 40-yard line. Jim Osborne making the tackle. Well, there's some tempers down there.
Well, it's interesting here, Gary. I think the fans are excited about this, that the Tampa Bay team is not going to get another score before halftime. They're not going for it. They've run 2 plays in a row. They feel with 1 minute and 23 seconds that they ought to be throwing the ball on first and second down, and it looks like they're satisfied with their lead, and they're trying to run the clock out.
They have a 3rd and 16 now. Williams on the 3rd down. Pressure from Page. And the catch. No, Mike Schumann. Did he get it? It's the other way. It's picked up by Allen Ellis. Ellis coming away with the interception. The intended receiver was Mike Schumann, and Ellis makes a remarkable play.
And we'll see that on the sideline again. It was double coverage. We see the rush coming here. Page right at the end. Williams can step up. Look at that. Schumann goes up. A great interception by Ellis.
And that, by the way, is his first of the year. Let's look at that interception by Allen Ellis from a different angle.
Allen Ellis made his first one a good one. Geez, that's a great catch. He has both feet inbounds. A little acrobatics going on over there.
Mike Schumann, the man they picked up on waivers from San Francisco. He had 39 catches last year for the 49ers. There's Ellis. Ellis has had a long uphill struggle coming back from severe knee surgery. 3 wide receivers for the Bears. 1:02 left until halftime. 10-7 Tampa Bay, and the Bears are opening it up with this remaining time. Dave Williams. You can see the Bears are still thinking of putting some points on.
They sure are, and this is very interesting here. The Bears have their 3 wide receivers in. Tampa Bay is countering with 5 defensive backs.
The Bears with 3 timeouts remaining. On a 2nd down and 4, Walter Payton. Payton to the 40, to the 41. Now that should be a first down. Stops the clock with 35 seconds. Curtis Jordan over to make the tackle for Tampa Bay.
You know, when you have a Walter Payton in your backfield, those are the types of things that you can do. You can throw a pass. You would think in this situation that they would pass again, but they know that Walter Payton can, 1, can get a first down for him, 2, he can get out of bounds for him after he gets that first down. Look at this. Perfect.
At the 40, first down. Red and Irv. We'll look ahead to tomorrow. Busy day on CBS. Matt Suey, intended receiver at the 45-yard line. There's Mike Phipps and Bob Avellini, the backup quarterback. Avellini with a headset on. He was a starter for several years. Phipps started the year, and then this guy, Vince Evans, took over.
Excuse me. Did you see Matt Suey on that play? He dropped the ball and just walked right.
He was trying to disappear.
Yeah, he tried to disappear in the crowd, didn't he? He lined up next to Phipps and Avellini.
That's one of those where you just go to the dressing room and wait for the rest of the team. 2nd and 10 for the 40. One interception by Mike Cotney of Vince Evans. Chris Haynes, and Haynes playing in place of the injured Brian Baschnagel has a first down catch just short of the 45. 22 seconds as they ask for a timeout. The Bears have 2 timeouts remaining. They have the football just short of the Tampa Bay 45.
Effort to improve children's lives.
Just short of the 45. Well, Coach Madden, with 22 seconds, what do you got left?
Well, of course, they have their 2 timeouts left, so they can still throw to the inside as we look. 5 defensive backs against 3 wide receivers.
Evans on the first down. Up to Williams. He's going to get out of bounds. That will stop the clock with 15 seconds. And is very close to another first down. Cotney, Curtis Jordan combining on the tackle. Williams comes in on their 3rd down passing plays. An excellent receiver.
And again, we see him go back here. He's able to get the ball to the outside. He's looking inside first. He's trying to get it inside, up for more yardage. He can't, so he comes off to Williams, who's able to get the ball out of bounds and stop the clock. But again, they have 2 timeouts left, so they can use 1 to stop the clock, run another play, and still have 1 for their field goal attempt.
That was a first down catch to the 34 with 14 seconds. Evans intercepted. Mike Washington. The intended receiver was James Scott, and Washington has his 4th interception of the year. But I tell you, I like the aggressiveness that Chicago had on that drive.
Right, they were going after it. You know, James Scott really had good position on Washington. This was just a high-thrown pass. It was just over his head, and that's what caused the interception. Watch this. See, he has him there in front. Had that been a well-thrown ball, it would have been a completion.
John McKay told us that when Vince Evans starts moving around back there and gets to squatting a little bit, his ball has a tendency to take off.
To rise.
And that time, it did rise. 8 seconds left. First half. expire in this first half of play. These two teams who last year tied with 10-6 records in the NFC Central Division, now battling for third place. And at halftime, Tampa Bay with a 3-point lead.
7 for the Buccaneers and 7 for the Chicago Bears in a typical first half of NFC Central football.
Well, Tampa Bay with that 10-0 lead had it cut to 3 as we start this second half. You might recall the Bears won the first game earlier this year, October 6, 23-0. And look at this, John. This is a stat we wanted to show people. Show you how Peyton compares with Jim Brown. Now, Walter's about 4,000 yards off of that 12-plus, and he's right on schedule, really.
But it also shows you what a great running back Jim Brown was, because he gained that 12,000 yards in only 9 years. But even more important, look at that average, 5.2. Now, those are great running backs up there, because they did it, as we said before, when